Good day and welcome to a year in review Atlassian Open DevOps 2022 product updates. I'm Tamlin Takakura and I'm a senior product marketing manager for Open DevOps. Today, I'm joined by our all-star DevOps portfolio team. First, we have Andrew Bale, software engineer on Open DevOps, Dave McCormick, engineering manager on Open DevOps, Wayne Daly, product marketing manager on Compass, Ophir ZV, product manager on Open DevOps, and Federico Steiner, senior software engineer on Open DevOps. Last year, you taught us that you use on average 25 tools in your software toolchain. And to manage, you're devoting 10% of your development teams to toolchain maintenance. That's pricey. Standardizing seems like the only logical solution for saving time and money. But you know the unspoken cost, that exclusive toolchains will only hold your software teams hostage. They'll prevent your teams from working creatively and subsequently from generating innovative ideas. And your instincts are right. Time and time again, collaboration research proves this. For example, a famous Peter Skillman study revealed that kindergartners consistently beat business students, lawyers, and CEOs in a competition to build the tallest structure using marshmallows and uncooked spaghetti. The little guys jumped right in, embracing any and all ideas during the build process. Unlike the adults, they didn't bother establishing roles and responsibilities, standardizing on work styles, or drawing communication lines. As a result, the kindergartners consistently outperformed their competition. The point is, when we lock teams into a single solution, a rigid process, and a one-dimensional culture, teams begin pushing out the same old generic features every time. You confided in us and told us that you felt like you're in a lose-lose situation. So in 2021, we launched Open DevOps. Open DevOps is a platform powered by the integration of Jira software and your team's favorite tools. By connecting seemingly disparate tools, Jira software becomes the mission control center for your DevOps programs, giving you the flexibility of a custom toolchain and a coordination of an all-in-one. Since then, we've been laser focused on delivering new capabilities. Today, we're unveiling them. We've got a lot to talk about, so grab your favorite cup of Java, sit back, and get ready for the catch-up of the year. First, we're announcing the toolchain page. Through the toolchain page, we're giving you a central place and unified experience to create, manage, and visualize your toolchains. Your teams can discover integrations for tools they already use and love, identify and address gaps in their toolchains, and visualize how work moves across their tools. The toolchain page supports integrations across the entire DevOps loop. Now I'll pass it over to Dave McCormick to walk us through the integration experience. Over to you, Dave.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Dave here. So to get to the toolchain page, first we go to project settings. Then we go to the toolchain page. So as you can see, we've got a few tools that are already integrated with our project toolchain. But today, we're going to integrate one more, a CI/CD tool, Jenkins. So to do that, we go Add Tool, and we click on Build, and click Continuous Integration. We scroll down, and we click Add to Project. As you can see, this is already installed on our site. Great. So now that's shown up and we can see that that's part of our project toolchain. So now what we're going to do is head on over to Jenkins and we're going to trigger a build for our branch. Great. And so this is going to send over both build information and also deployment information so that we can access it right in Jira. Great. Now we're going to head back to Jira. We go back to our project, go up to the board. And now we can see for the branch that we just built, TS12, we've got a successful build and a successful deploy to production. That concludes this demo. Back to you, Tamlin.
Thanks, Dave. And when you make these integrations, you unlock a whole new suite of DevOps capabilities. Atlassian knows that great teamwork is at the epicenter of all great software. That's why we're unveiling new capabilities and collaboration rituals that unlock team potential to build innovative software customers love. Let's take a walk down the DevOps loop where we'll show you how the combination of a best-of-breed toolchain and these new DevOps rituals facilitates new ways of collaborations across teams and projects. Let's start at the beginning, or is it the end? DevOps loops have traditionally spanned from plan to feedback. We're reflecting the multidisciplinary nature of software development by adding a new phase, discover. Discover as a SDLC activity isn't new. Despite the critical role it plays in software usage and adoption, it's done inconspicuously in the background by product, research, and design. To facilitate better flow across all teams that play a part in software development, we're giving it a dedicated place on the toolchain page. In Discover, software teams explore what to build. Activities include workshopping across teams, organizing ideas into themes, and setting priorities. Open DevOps supports whiteboarding and ideation tools like Product Board, Miro, and Mural. These integrations give developers visibility into how ideas were born and how prioritization decisions were made. Now developers know the vision behind the features they're building, but they're feeling anxious about all the ways they could be blindsided because even the best laid plans go awry. Expanding on our burn down insights released in March of this year, Jira Software gives teams control over their sprint success with actionable insights that help them proactively respond to unexpected changes. As sprints progress, Jira tracks how development teams are pacing and predicts the likelihood of delivering on time. If work runs off track, Jira surfaces scope changes affecting developer work, blocked issues manually flagged by the team, and stuck issues flagged by our predictive engine. Showing the cause and effect of unexpected changes empowers dev teams with the information they need to respond and drive the best outcomes. After developers are assigned an issue, they begin coding. An issue represents a unit of work. Breaking large projects into smaller pieces is a best practice. It enables asynchronous work, but can promote silos. With two new capabilities, developers can work autonomously without losing sight of work happening across the project and team. First, we've delivered a pull request or PR activities feed in the code tab. Visibility into what's happening across teams and repositories at the PR and issue level helps developers compare issues, identify anomalies, and make data-informed decisions. To complement, we've also added code insights on the Jira board view to facilitate team and project level discussions. With 4 new icon types, branch, commit, PR, and deploy, the Jira board view visually and instantly communicates status, so stand-up meetings stay focused on the bigger picture. Now I'll hand it over to Andrew Bale, software engineer on Open DevOps, to walk us through an end-to-end developer workflow. Over to you, Andrew.
Hey all, Andrew here. So, a developer's workflow often begins with creating a branch. In the Jira issue view, we've created a new set of features that will enable developers to work more closely with their standard workflows and get the benefits of code-to-issue integrations. First off, I'm going to create a branch. Opening up the dropdown, you can see that we've got a couple of links to go to Bitbucket or GitHub, whatever provider you might have installed to create a branch, Or we've also got a Git command that you can take and put into your terminal. We've also added the functionality to build a template for yourself. We've provided a set of variables that Jira will contextually insert these values into your Git command, such that you can build in whatever template that you prefer. I've already configured mine, so I'm going to close this and copy this and jump into my IDE. So in my IDE, I can easily paste this command, press enter, and create my branch. Now when I return to Jira, I can see that the branch is successfully linked. Following creating a branch, I'm going to create a commit. Oftentimes when I'm creating a commit, I forget what the issue key is of the ticket I'm working on. We've created a small feature here just to be able to easily copy a Git command onto your clipboard, such that it's not a worry anymore. Jumping into my IDE, I'm going to do my code changes and then use the commit message. I'll paste in the commit message and update the message to include something useful. Once again, in our issue view, we can see a commit linked to the issue. Next up, I'm going to want to create a pull request for the commit that I just made. You can see now that we have a branch and commit associated to our issue, we have a create pull request button here. Clicking this button takes us to the create pull request view in our installed source control provider. In this case, Bitbucket has taken the issue information and created a title for me based upon the branch name, and also included the information from a commit message. What I'm going to do is update this to include some more useful information and create the pull request. Now with that pull request created, once again, we can see this in the Jira issue view. Jumping into the pull request, I can approve and merge it. And finally, now we see this pull request is merged, I can move this ticket into done. Zooming out from the issue level development integration, we've also tried to power up teams' stand-up rituals. You can see in front of me, we have the board where teams would often spend their time talking in front of at their stand-up meetings. And what we've done is we've had a rich integration of development data into the cards that you see. You can see in the bottom right corners that each of these cards have little icons, each representing a different type of development data type. You can see here we have a branch. This indicates that this ticket is in progress. There's a branch created. Similarly, this one has commits made against it. Probably the more actionable icon, however, is the pull request icon. We really see developers and their teams talking to these icons, talking to where their pull request is at, how much effort is required to get it done, and maybe who needs to be reviewing this to close off that ticket. Further to that, we also have approved and declined icons for pull requests to help us feel good when we finish our tickets. Finally, to zoom out even further, I'm going to talk about the code page. The code page has existed in Jira for quite some time. Traditionally, it's only held a list of linked repositories to the project. We've really doubled down on the idea of holistic project level viewpoints of development information in the code page. You can see we've retained the repositories list. It's still a useful tool to understand the most recent development activity on your project. The linked repositories helps people onboard onto the team's space. But what we've done is we've added a list of linked pull requests. This linked pull request table houses the last 30 days of pull request information happening within the project. It enables us to get a holistic view of all of the interactions happening on all of the repos for this project. We see this as useful from two lenses. One, as a retrospective tool, you're able to come into this viewpoint and see all of the pull request work done over the course of the last 30 days. Perhaps you're able to identify what pull requests took a long amount of time, by the number of reviewers, who's approving it, the number of comments, maybe identify the pull requests that are stuck in certain statuses, or even the repositories associated to that. Secondly, we've also tried to make this a home base for developers, where they can come maybe at the start of the day and check if they need to spend time reviewing or actioning their pull requests. This is really easy using our filters at the top of the table here, where you can easily put yourself as a reviewer, filter down this list and see where you need to be putting your effort. We can see here, if I was Jonathan, that I'm a reviewer on a pull request that is open. Perhaps I need to spend a bit more time to make sure I can get that across the line. Alternatively, if I were an author, I could mark myself as the author, and then we could, once again, see where the status of all my pull requests are at. You might notice also, with the use of these filters, the URL has been updating. This means that I can bookmark my page, and whenever I need, I can really easily jump to this page with the filters applied. Finally, I'll clear out all those filters with the click of a button, and that covers all the new features available to you shipped in Jira today. Back to you, Tamulin.
Thanks, Andrew. As code enters the deploy phase, features begin rolling in at various stages of readiness, making release coordination much more complex than they used to be. Open DevOps enhances collaboration between development, product, marketing, and support with a new way to track, plan, and coordinate releases. In our updated releases tab, Jira surfaces feature flag status alongside dev, build, and deploy statuses. Release teams now have a unified pane that details each issue's progress across the SDLC, allowing them to comprehensively assess each feature's release eligibility. After the feature set is decided, teams can automatically generate release notes with one click. Jira dynamically pulls information from all issues associated with a version. Release notes can be saved as a Confluence page for further editing and access to custom fields. Finally, all your saved release notes are automatically added under related work, where team members can add analytics dashboards, support docs, and other links to establish a shared understanding. Now passing it over to Federico Seiner, Senior Software Engineer, for a walkthrough.
Hi everyone, Fed here. I'll be walking you through some of the latest features that my team and I have been working on for the Releases Hub over the past couple of months. We've been working really hard to make Release Hub a more valuable tool to decision makers as well as software engineers like myself. And we think this latest batch of features really adds a lot of powerful insights and a greater level of data centralization to help you make better decisions within your teams. The first feature I'll go through is the ability to add, move, and remove issues from within a version. So the current workflow for doing this is to go to an issue, open up the issue view, and then select the version that you want to link to that issue in the fixed versions field. Now, this process works fine, but if you're already on a version page, you notice that you have to navigate through a lot of different pages in order to be able to do this simple operation. So we've added the ability to do this directly from the version details page. So you can click on the Add Issues button, search for an issue by key or summary, or simply look up recent issues via the drop down here. So I can add multiple issues to a version via this method. You can also move and remove issues from a version if they're no longer relevant. So if you hover over an issue row here, you'll see a little meatball icon that lets you either move this issue to another version. So I can move this to the next upgrade, or I can open up a modal to be able to select the version manually, either searching by name or description again, or I can simply remove the issue altogether from that version. So this is a pretty cool feature because we've gotten a lot of feedback from our customers about how annoying it is to add link issues and versions. So hopefully this reduces quite a bit of the friction that was involved in the previous process for doing this. So next up, we've got related work. So related work is a relatively new feature within the Releases Hub, and it allows you to add links to various pieces of documentation that you might have that are related to the version, but might not necessarily be encompassed in the information contained within an issue. So some examples of this are release notes or rollout plans that you might have on Confluence or maybe on some external third-party tool, or analytics dashboards. So for example, if you use Google Analytics or Amplitude for customer analytics, or if you use tools like Splunk or Datadog for monitoring. So if I click on add here, I can add a related work item by simply including a link to that item, an optional description, and a category. So I'm going to quickly add a sample Amplitude dashboard, give it a quick description, and select the analytics category. So you'll see here the related work item was added here. You can also delete related work items if you don't think they're relevant anymore, or if you made a mistake and you want to add an updated version of that item. Another cool thing is if you have documentation within Confluence, within your same site, if you simply add the URL to that page and select the category, obviously, instead of getting the whole long URL, the related work item will actually resolve and give you some nice metadata here. So it'll actually show the title of the page. So this is a pretty cool feature because it lets you link documents and links and kind of centralize a lot of the information that might be scattered all over the place for a given version in one central location. So you've got your issues here at the bottom, and then you've got all of your related work here at the top. So that brings me to the next feature that I'd like to cover, which is enhancements to release notes. So release notes is a feature we've had for a while within Releases Hub, but we've recently made some new additions and enhancements that we hope will make this experience a little bit more smooth for our users. So if you click on release notes here at the top, you'll notice that you can either create release notes within this version, which is, for lack of a better word, the native or original release notes experience, but enhanced with the ability to add additional formatting options, as well as copy the release notes to different types of formats. So in this case, we support copying to Markdown and HTML. And if you save the release notes, you'll notice that it actually creates a related work item for you as well. So if you ever need to access those release notes again, and if you want to copy them to an external file, you can just simply click on the release notes here in the related work item. The other cool thing that we've added is the ability to create release notes directly in Confluence. So if I select Confluence space here and click on Create in Confluence, it should open up a page with the release notes copied directly into Confluence. Now, what this does is it copies a list. It actually has an issue table macro here that copies all of the issues linked to your version in here. But obviously, because it's a Confluence page, you can edit it and add additional information or even include some summary information as well if you want. So next up on the list of new features is the feature flag installation experience and feature flags in Releases Hub. So in the issue table, we've added the ability to show feature flag information linked to a specific issue to the issue table within the Releases Hub. So if you don't currently have a feature flag provider installed on your site, if you hover over any of the issues in the issue table, you'll see this little flag icon here at the bottom. If I click on this flag icon, it takes me to the feature flag installation experience, which lets you connect to one of our trusted providers for feature flags. So in this case, Launch Darkly and Split. So I'll click on Launch Darkly here and install the Marketplace app for this provider. This usually takes a little while, so bear with me. Yep, so once the app's been installed, you can configure the app, or you can continue you can add an additional provider if you want. So we could probably add Split if we needed to. And then there's some additional information here that helps you understand how you link feature flags to an issue or create a new feature flag as part of an issue. So once you've installed the provider, you'll notice that the icon here changes, and we've added a feature flags column here. So If you don't currently have any feature flags linked to an issue, you can create one directly from here. So if I click on create feature flag and launch Darkly, what it does is it opens up the provider. So in this case, launch Darkly, and it pre-populates the issue key in the appropriate fields for that given provider. So in this case, if you want to create a feature flag and launch Darkly, they have a field here at the bottom called Jira issues, and it lets you specify issue keys that you want to link within Jira. So this is a pretty cool feature because it lets you not only link existing feature flags to issues, but you can actually create a feature flag directly from the version details page without having to navigate to any of the other Jira pages like the board or the backlog. Now I'm using a different project here to demo some of the feature flag information that we show in summary here. So this project has a whole bunch of issues linked to it, and some of these issues already have feature flags linked to them. You'll notice that, for example, this issue at the top here has 11 feature flags linked to it. Now, that's an excessive amount of feature flags, but in this case, it lets you, if you hover over the flags here, it shows you a quick high-level overview of how many flags you've got, and then the top 3 flags, whether they're on or off. If you click on the cell itself, it opens up a detailed view of which flags you've got. So the dev details dialog is a familiar experience for most of you, and it gives you information about which environments the flags are in, the name of the flag, the environment name, the status, and rollout details. So in this case, we are showing percentage rollouts. So if your flag is rolled out to 50%, you'll see 50%. If the flag is turned off, you'll see disabled here. That information is also encapsulated in the feature flag cell here as well. So for example, this flag here, enable login page, is rolled out to 50%. This flag down here is rolled out to 80%, but it's disabled. So we show a little flag icon that's crossed out here. So that's all I wanted to walk you through today. So we're really excited about the features that we've been working on here, and we hope that you'll enjoy using them as well. Back to you, Tamlin.
So even though sprints end when code is deployed, the code lives on. In a DevOps world, developers aren't just responsible for writing code. They're expected to maintain and operate them too. This year, Atlassian strengthened its DevOps portfolio with a new beta offering, Compass. To help answer the age-old question, should we prioritize new features or address technical debt? Compass is a developer experience platform that brings your distributed software architecture and the teams collaborating on it into a single place. With Compass, you can track software components, including their metadata and dependencies, establish team ownership, and adopt a flexible, scalable model for continuously improving component health. Start by setting up scorecards that codify your business priorities and apply it to code components across your distributed software architecture. In a ritual known as checkops, development teams review scorecards on a weekly basis. They assess each component's health to collectively and proactively decide whether they need to take immediate action, add potential issues to the backlog, or let it be. With Compass, development teams can quantify how stable their components are, allowing them to make informed decisions on when to innovate fast and when to maintain proactively. Now, with that, over to Wayne Daly, Product Marketing Manager on Compass, to walk us through the checkops workflow. Take it away, Wayne.
Checkops is a weekly ritual that Atlassian engineering teams undertake to make sure we're operationally healthy and that we're improving our productivity and effectiveness. It also helps us make sure our components are staying healthy. So let's see how Compass helps our teams be empowered to perform checkops. We'll start out on the team view, which we get to simply by clicking the Teams button from the top navigation. You can then go into whatever team you're interested in. We'll go to Teams issue all the way down at the bottom. We'll next click Checkops from the left panel, and finally the Start Checkops button in the top right. We land on a page that has everything we need to perform checkops. Right in the middle, we've got a list of all the components that this team owns, along with the scorecards that are measuring the health of those components. And we can expand each one to understand the different criteria that are being measured. We definitely had some incidents this week. PR cycle time, build success rate, and reliability were not up to spec, so we're failing the DevOps health scorecard. And it looks like we were a bit slow to restore services, so we have a marginal pass on the DORA scorecard. On the bright side, security is passing 100%, so we definitely want to celebrate that win. With all of this information, we're now ready to fill in the checkops form at the right. The first thing we want to do is do a pulse check around the team. You might feel one way, but it's very likely that others might have a different feeling, so it's great to come to consensus before we decide what the overall sentiment is. In this case, because we had so many incidents, team's not feeling great, we're going to mark this as bad. Next, let's reflect a little deeper. What went well? Well, we did hit 100% on the security scorecard. Vulnerabilities. So we definitely want to celebrate that win. What could have gone better? Well, we had too many incidents related to upgrades. And what could we improve as a team? Maybe next time we could get 2 approvals on pull requests before merging. Finally, in team actions, we codify all of those learnings into real actions that will perform to improve the health of our system. So I'm going to give myself this task. Say we'll change the Bitbucket merge restrictions to require 2 approvals. You could add additional actions if you wanted, but we'll stick with 1 for now. I'm going to click create, and this will take us back to the checkops page. This page is great because we can see all of the previous checkops rituals that our team has performed. It helps us track the mood over time and make sure we're staying on top of all the actions that we've set. Finally, I want to take you back to the overview page. And it's super handy. In the top right, we can see the action that we just created. So it's a really great central place where the entire team can see what we've decided to do, and we can stay on top of those changes and make sure that we're making real improvements to the health of our system. So as you can see, checkops helps us identify, track, and improve the health of our components, along with the health of our teams. That's all for today, but please be sure to check out Compass at atlassian.com/Compass.
So, as a reminder, these specific features showcased in this webinar are powered by Jira Software's integration with your whiteboarding, ideation, SCM, CI/CD, feature flag, and developer experience tools. We're continuously expanding our integration support with new vendors and tools. This year, we added Jenkins and GitHub Enterprise Cloud to Jira Software's robust portfolio of SCM and CI/CD integrations. For a comprehensive list of all apps we support, visit www.marketplace.atlassian.com/categories/DevOps. That's www.marketplace.atlassian.com/categories/DevOps. If you don't see our app, let us know using the Request Integrations feature on the toolchain page. Open DevOps connects teams through one tool while embracing the many differences in how they work. All users of Jira Software Cloud have access to Open DevOps features regardless of license tier. Here's what some of our users had to say about Open DevOps. Having access to almost all information related to our team's project, as well as other teams' projects, has been a godsend. We save roughly 3.5 to 5 hours every week from hunting people down for basic information. Jay Cork, DevOps engineer at the MET office. To make a single release, I had to spend roughly 4 hours organizing PRs, pulling code review statuses, and more. Jira Software's integration with our repository has made even our more complex releases happen within 30 minutes. Rutvik Prajapati, Dev Team Lead at Sales Handy. Our deploy process is faster and simpler. Before, we did deployments on the AWS SSH terminal. Now, with a better UI, both the QA and dev team can have their working space. No need to wait for the dev team to deploy the staging server because It's simple enough for a non-tech member to interact with it. Jen Yap, developer at Corcara. Our entire organization uses it. We're able to see a single source of truth on the status of builds, tickets, releases, etc. Everyone uses it for collaboration. It's a great tool to help our organization succeed and operate efficiently. Brian Hartsock, developer at Retrieve Technologies. Software is a team sport. It requires tight collaboration with business, technical, and executive teams in order to win. With Jira Software as your mission control center, teams get the extensibility of a custom toolchain and the coordination of an all-in-one solution. Open DevOps uniquely connects software teams with new ways of collaboration across projects and toolchains. Want to get started? Build your custom toolchain today at www.atlassian.com/solutions/DevOps. Before we launch into the Q&A session, I also wanted to share some fabulous news. So dark mode will be released to all Jira products in early 2023. So keep your eyes peeled for that. All right, with that, let's launch into questions. So the top question that we've gotten so far is, will you be sharing a recording of this webinar? So that is an emphatic yes. We will share a recording of the webinar in a follow-up email. We'll also attach a community post. We're going to add some resources as well as compile all the Q&A from this webinar. So make sure you keep an eye out for that follow-up email. Okay. How is Open DevOps deployed? So Atlassian Open DevOps, it's available in the cloud. We do not have an offering for data center customers, so please keep that in mind. All right. So looking at this, we have a couple toolchain related questions. So I'm going to pass it over to Ophir, our product manager, specifically on toolchain, to answer a couple questions. So over to you, Ophir.
Hi, everyone. Ophir here. So the first question I could see here is, how do I get access to the toolchain page? So currently, we've only rolled out the toolchain page as an admin experience. And this is driven by user research, where we found that a big friction point for a lot of admins is connecting and building their toolchains. We know that team members have challenges too, so we're definitely open to exploring additional features that we can roll out to support the rest of the team and engage everyone. Next question. Why should we add tools along the entire software delivery lifecycle in categories like Discover, Feedback, and Operate? It's a great question. Integrating these categories helps set Jira at the backbone of your entire software delivery lifecycle. So with Jira as the backbone, you and your team will be able to visualize, track, and measure the entire toolchain all in one place. The next question is, where can I play around with a connected toolchain and see if it's suitable for my team? Love that. So with our Open DevOps solution, we give you Atlassian's products pre-connected, out of the box, and for free. So you can play around with all the features. You can always swap these out for your own tools once you're comfortable and understand what's on offer. It's a really good way to understand what a connected toolchain means and what those benefits are. And then obviously you have the flexibility to bring your own tools, and the experiences are more or less the same. Next question, who can add apps to the toolchain? So as with the rest of Jira, only product and site admins can install and configure apps in Jira. Project admins without those permissions can request apps and integrations from their product and site admins to review right from the toolchain page. This question is very interesting. So these features look awesome. Are there any tips for building a DevOps culture around them within my team? So we've built Open DevOps to help organizations build a culture around aligned autonomy where teams can work independently and creatively. So while also simultaneously working together to build and release software. We know that that can be a hard balance to find, so here's my top tips for how we've done this at Atlassian. When setting up a project, we review the toolchain and features page in project settings as a team, and we walk through the practices and tools that we want to use. Setting up can be a lot of work, but if there's interest in adopting new features and practices later on, we make a note and revisit it later down the track once we're feeling ready to consider new processes. We also make sure to give people an environment where they feel safe to play around and experiment with the practices and workflows that work best for them, so that they can proactively recommend improvements to processes rather than have them happen to them. So some examples of that, we turn on team managed projects. So this is where you allow teams to administer their own projects. And while you might not choose to use this to track important work because you have various reporting features or automations, it's a really great way to encourage members of your organization to get more comfortable by playing around in like a single player mode. So you allow them to come back to the teams after they've played around and build some confidence with suggestions for new fields, issue types, workflows, and features to use. I know that I do this all the time and come back to my team and say, hey, how about we try this? It's also important to give people a safe environment where they can learn what works and suggest improvements. With that autonomy, you can define processes for the broader team to align on. Another thing we do is we encourage app requests. So we leverage our team's expertise working with different tools from their previous jobs and experiences, and we listen to what they think they could use to operate more effectively. So even if the tools they ask for aren't the ones we go ahead with, our admins have the opportunity to understand the use cases that will allow them to make good decisions and balance all the concerns that the organization might have. Another thing we do is we set up a sandbox toolchain to play around with. So apps and integrations can vastly improve workflows across the SDLC, but they do take a lot of work to set up. So what we do is start with a bundle like the DevOps solution to get started and swap out and integrate whichever tools that we want to help build an understanding of how that can serve us in terms of building aligned autonomy. They can help break down knowledge silos by giving visibility to where the work is at across the toolchain. They can help us track unplanned work by automating issue creation in Jira and more. So you won't really know what you're missing out without trying. I hope those tips help. So that's all the questions I can see. I'll throw it back to you, Tamerlan.
Thanks, Ophir. Okay, so the next question is, how should I use related work? So that really depends on your team. You can add any associated work item to a release to this section. So some of the more popular items that we've seen is any kind of documentation like support docs, monitoring dashboards, and change request tickets. But there's really no hard and fast rule on this. It's really what works best for your team. So I have to say this one is probably my favorite. What is a feature flag? So feature flags, they can be known as a feature toggle. It's a way to turn functionality on and off during runtime without deploying any additional code. So it's a great way for technical teams, dev teams, to do controlled experiments, see how your user base reacts to it. Do they like it? Do they not? Before fully committing and pushing out code. So highly recommended as a best practice. So be sure to check it out. How can I link feature flags to my Jira issues? So you can link feature flags in one of two ways. You can do it through directly in the releases tab, which we showcased today in the webinar. You can also do it through the toolchain page, which we also showed in the webinar as well. So as mentioned, We will make the recording available, so feel free to go back and replay that section. I will also make a note for myself to add any kind of related documentation that might provide a step-by-step for you all in case you're interested. So be sure to check out that community post for that detailed information. Okay. How can I customize my release notes content? So there's actually a couple ways to do this. We went through one of them, which is using the formatting options on the releases tab. Another way is to actually use your Confluence integration, and it will pour all of that information to a Confluence page, and then you can manually make any kind of custom changes. You can also access some custom fields if you choose to use your Confluence integration to, get some of that customization on. All right, I am getting the cue to close down the curtains, close down the lights. So I know we went through a few of your questions verbally, and as you all might have picked up, for those submitting questions via text, we also have a whole team that's been answering your questions via text too, so we can get through as many questions as possible. If we didn't get to your questions, rest assured, we do compile all of them at the end of this webinar, and we answer them and make them available in the community post along with the resources that I mentioned. So we do take care and make sure to answer the questions thoroughly. We have found that our audience really does appreciate this compiled Q&A. So with that, from the Atlassian DevOps team to yours, we wanted to wish you a happy holiday season and happy shipping. Thanks for joining this webinar. We'll catch you next time. Bye.